Hello, all. How are you? I'm so happy to be with all of you today. I wanted to be outside, but you really just can't breathe very well out there. We get very swampy in these parts, and it's like thick air. So no matter how little clothing I'm wearing, I still can't breathe. So we're gonna have to do it inside today. I was happy with the flowers. I had to order groceries because Bailey is with me all the time now. And so I didn't get what I ordered. I just told them like surprise me. But I think these were for our meeting tomorrow night. We're doing the Lionsgate gateway reading and healing and channeling with the goddesses. So I'm excited to be with all of you who've signed up for that. And this video will go out on the Lionsgate, but I'm going to talk about all of the astrology during the live meeting for that. So we're going to focus on other things for this video. I also just want to say for everyone who was part of the first installment of the Metatron course, if you did not receive the link to book with me, please let me know because those went out about a week and a half ago. So just want to make sure everybody gets that information. And yeah, so how's everyone? I would have been here a lot more this week if there was any sleep happening. My daughter and I both have things if you have like, 17 to 19 especially degrees anywhere in the zodiac, they're being impacted by the Mars North Node Uranus meeting. And so that's like fire and electricity. Uranus is electricity, but it's also tornadic. So we had a lot of surprises. The state of Kansas, and I'm not like weighing in on what my opinion of it, but it was a surprise that almost 2-1 they voted to keep legislation or keep the Constitution that provided choice for women as it was. That's maybe for all those of you that don't know, one of the most conservative places in the country. So that was really a surprise. Uranus. And then Alex Jones finally being shut down. His attorney accidentally sending 2 years worth of text messages to the other side, the other attorneys in that case, kind of like blowing the lid off of that. Of course, more people that were on staff in the White House coming forward for grand jury hearings on January 6th. Remember again that Mars is going to hit the United States. Mars and Uranus when he moves into Gemini. We're not quite there yet. And I want to talk about how Mars, Uranus, and the North Node coming together right now. Uranus and the North Node, the nodes of the moon don't move very quickly. Uranus is getting ready to station to move retrograde, but by declination. So the way that, like if you have the Skyview app and you can look up in the sky right now, it's not showing tropical zodiac, it's going to show you the constellations. And so you will see Mars and Uranus are parallel by declination pretty much until August 31st. That's 7 days after Uranus has stationed and begins to move backward at the end of August. But they're still going to be locked in there until the 31st. And then once they do start to move away from one another, we'll start that Uranus, Saturn, actually probably before that, just about the same time. Uranus and Saturn will square. Sorry, I'm working. I fell asleep last night about 5 this morning. And usually as I start to doze off, my daughter wakes up. So be a little bit patient with me. I apologize. So, Uranus and Saturn. Saturn is what is permanent, something of a structure, something that we've been sort of counting on, that's always been that way. Uranus comes along and says, nope, not anymore, kind of takes that down. If you did not experience any of that in 2021, then you're not going to be affected. Those of you that have already had like a lot of changes, multiple, Metatron is saying changes that change the course. It's like a tower moment. But with Mars in the mix, then we're like asking, like the highest way to look at that is that you're off on a new adventure. They give me a lot of visions about the astrology that's happening now. One of them was that the sky is the limit. And so really, it's about doing something that is special to you, that is unique to you, going even on a trip somewhere that you have never been before. He's saying appreciating what it is that's special about you and what is close to your heart, what makes you tick, what you admire yourself for. He's saying, it's also in this astrology when Saturn is so involved in what's happening, because he's pretty close to that same degree, that 18, 19 degrees as well. People can be super judgmental. Jupiter is in fire going retrograde, but I always say the hardest thing about being really psychic is pretending like you don't know what others are thinking. I was telling a story this week and someone was like, oh, and I could tell like that they were kind of putting it on me, someone else's bad behavior. You just have to have grace for people right now. A lot of people have not reached the maturity of, in their spiritual growth where they recognize that what they judge in another is actually their story. And so let's all, remember that. Also, be careful driving this whole month, right after I said if you're taking a trip. Be careful. I like to put, especially when I was in Montana, I mean, it's dark there. There aren't a lot of big city lights happening. And there's a lot of wildlife. So I used to put a bubble 50 feet around my car. I used to ask to see the deer like a long way ahead, and I would. And they're in the middle of the road there because there's not a lot of traffic, most places too. So that's always a good idea. Just asking for protection with something like that. Even flying, I would say. Excuse me, I'm gonna need to take a sip of water. I spoke to my friend in Italy today. She said it's getting a bit cooler there, so I'm wondering if the rest of you, or what you're experiencing with the weather. I started to talk about lightning in the last video, and then I think he probably had me go off somewhere else because of what happened this week. So when I was talking about it last time, I was talking about Ceres and what she means as far as climate change. She's very involved with that. Ceres, there's a lot of richness in Ceres. There's so much to learn about her. She's pretty new, even newer than Chiron for us. So we're still learning exactly how she plays out. But because, she decided that the harvest was only going to come once a year, sort of like, okay, Jupiter, you know what I'm thinking, go yourself. We're only going to have the harvest season once a year instead of all year round. So in that way, because of that mythology, she deals with issues of climate. She was with Saturn and Pluto as they came together last year. So was Mercury, who rules cycles. He's also the ruler of Virgo. And so in that way, he has a bit to do with climate and change. But, it was in Georgia, on an army base in Georgia, like 5-6 weeks ago, that there was a soldier killed, 9 others injured by lightning. 4th of July, I'm used to it. We had tornado sirens going off my whole life, terrible thunderstorms I used to love. My brother and I used to get the lawn chairs out and sit in the garage and watch the thunderheads roll in. I love thunderstorms. But 4th of July, later at night, after we had gotten home and Bailey was in bed, it was literally, the light was going off. I mean, every window, like all the way around the house, was going as the thunder was going. And that's a little disconcerting. You don't have the warning. So you're just like, all the time. Not to be making light of the people who passed away, and really for their families. People who passed away are never sad when they pass away, but for their family members, I just want to say that. Because a couple, an elderly couple walking by the White House, and then a young man, they were from Wisconsin, I believe the young man was from California, struck and killed by lightning just 2 days ago. Another boy, a 22-year-old boy, was in Wyoming. He was visiting Wyoming from Boston. He was also killed by lightning. So it's not even like it's staying in one area. It's, all over. I mean, you can see in the photographs now, if you follow any photographers on social media, just the width of the lightning. So that's one thing that I think we're going to see a big difference with going forward. Just like, when I was a kid, speaking of the tornadoes, we didn't have EF5 tornadoes when, I'm 52. So just within my lifetime, tornadoes have gotten so much more severe too. So, we're already in climate change. I'm glad to see that our Congress passed a bill toward climate change. There are still 12 GOP treasurers in the different states that punish corporations for curbing greenhouse gas emissions. So just like he talked about when in the council talked about in the end of corruption, the fall of a superpower, that during this next Pluto cycle, which is roughly 250 years, that our money would need to go toward efforts to combat or to curb, he's saying, the different changes happening on the earth. One of you had commented on Facebook that, so one of you had said, don't hold us in suspense and tell us what these earth changes are. And I think it's because I haven't talked about it for a long time. When I first started on YouTube, I talked a lot, and really before YouTube, when I was on, I'll have to come back to that. Maybe Eileen can leave it in the comments. But I talked about how he had showed me the earth cracking open like a seed, and in the cracks were lava. There were a lot of fires. I was way up above the earth in another vision, and as far as I could see, the planet was shrouded in smoke. That was from fires. I've also seen other visions of chemicals being sprayed into the atmosphere. That's done by a government, not one person who's sort of been labeled a bad guy, but it is done by a government. But that's not anything coming up, right tomorrow, or anything we need to be concerned with. We can't do anything about that. Speaking to that, I wanted to share with you, I haven't paid attention, to be honest, except for sending love to what's happening in the situation in Ukraine. Just like with Yemen, in any of the parts of the world where there is war, tearing the country apart. You would be surprised, you guys, how many pro-Putin comments I got when I did talk about it. Pretty surprising. But then Tucker Carlson is the most popular show, right? So not that surprising. But I had seen a story that there was shelling and children were killed. I had one of those boys come. I only allow children who have passed over to come to me to pass over. That's just what I'm comfortable with. And so I saw this young boy in my space, and I was like, why is he? And then he turned, and I could see that he was burned. I want to just be very honest and explain that they are not sad. And I know it's horrible. I mean, for the families, I'm not making it small. I just know that a lot of you are concerned about the situation there and saddened by it. And I just wanted you to know that that boy was in no way in any pain, was with angels, and was being comforted, is the way that Metatron is putting it. So just, I want to just say that for all of you who have been paying close attention. He said for years now, I think since I've been on YouTube, that what is the conditions of the outside world need to be separate and appear to us to be separate from what is externally happening. We don't need to allow it to affect us internally, because these things that I'm talking about now, they're going to last for a while. They're not going to be over very quickly. And so he wanted me to talk about that. So I wanted to say that to all of you. That being said, this full moon is, I'm not going to even say the word. I'm so tired of saying it. It's a very serious full moon. Mars is with Algol, who is the fixed star we associate with Medusa or beheading. Mars is with Algol, trine Pluto in Capricorn, and then trine the asteroid Heimdall, which means the guard of the bridge between heaven and earth, the vibration, the force that is the Metatron energy. In the vision that he showed me relating to this, I want to show you the chart, and then we'll talk about the dates and times. But you can see that it is what's called a grand cross. You can see it looks like a square with the cross in the middle. And Pluto was sticking out big time in that vision. Pluto relates to our own history with the ancestors. He's retrograde, so I'm going to read it like he is. Retrograde Pluto does not like to let go of the past, can be obsessed about where someone is taking advantage, taking power over us. It looked like truly death. I'm not going to lie. One of you had commented about how many people are still leaving. We don't really talk about that so much anymore, but that bridge, that gateway that he showed me 2020, beginning of 2020, is still there. It's not as wide, but it seems like it's going to get wider. And like when I see the back, it does look like it's going to widen. I don't know what that means, and they don't share with me unless it's good for all that is, because that's the way that I have it set up. But definitely we should expect more earth changes, something maybe to do with mountains, something maybe to do with flow, possibly a volcano. Remember, with full moons, that's when we see the fullness of something. We can gain insights. Light is shed in the darkness. Something that we had been confused about can come to light. Let me go into talk about the times. So in London, it's on the 12th of August at 2:35 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's August 11th at 8:35 p.m. And in Sydney, it's the 12th at 11:35 a.m. It's taking place at 19 degrees and 21 minutes. So we look at the symbol, we look at the symbol for actually 19 Taurus, because that is where Uranus is heading, and he is in charge of this full moon. Okay, sorry about that. I dropped that. But it is a white dove carrying a message. Vesta is sitting on Fomalhaut, which is related to Archangel Gabriel, and Saint Michael, the Archangel Michael's asteroid, is sitting at the super galactic center at 3 degrees of Libra. So we should, just expect to be given messages. And what else did I want to mention about that? Vesta is King Kunk's, that Saint Michael. So for surely there's going to be intuition, being guided by your intuition, most likely confirmations or, anything that a lot of times with full moons, anything that we've been waiting for a while to be revealed because the moon is with Saturn. It could be that something comes up that, we weren't sure of, but this will give us the clarity that we need. Saturn isn't so much about setting things in motion. He is retrograde, and so it's going to most likely be related to some structure in the life that we want to change, or a new way of moving forward is the way he's saying that. As far as this energy with a lot of the judgment, that has a lot to do with Uranus and Taurus, honestly, too. That we need to remember that we're already seen as perfect, that judgment only exists as a symptom of the mind. It's part of the illusion. There is no judgment. That it goes to the original wound of separation, or believing that, things play out in certain ways according to our behavior, that when people do behave badly, that the person, deserved it. Or, I had someone once say that someone's pet was sick because of the owner's attitude. That's not true. You can't adjust someone's free will of leaving or staying on the planet because of, what I mean? You can't affect someone's will to be here or someone's soul choice to be here. So really just having grace for ourselves and for the people that are still stuck in that mindset of judgment, or that, good things happen because people are good, and when things go wrong for people, they must have done something to deserve it. A lot of times when things like that happen, it's so that we can learn, he's saying, to acclimate, to change, and to roll with it, or to stand up for ourselves. Sometimes we're being called on to take a stand. And so people can behave badly just so that we agree with the soulmate to treat us that way, just so we finally stand up. And he's saying not so much a confrontation as it can just be a quiet resolve, and speaking quietly to the person, but letting them know, like, this is the boundary that you've crossed with me. So that must be important for this, because he's brought that up more than once. And then he was talking to me about the Bible verse, lean not into thine own understanding. It's like trusting, like not believing so much what we're seeing in the illusion, but going within and learning to trust. He's saying the still, subtle voice. The trusting that our soul has a plan, even though we cannot see it. He's reminding us that there are no mistakes, that we can make a choice to do something differently, but that we can let go of regret or the fear of making the wrong choice. He's saying it's better to have the experience and move forward in some way, rather than living with the regret of not making taking a step when we could have. Because a lot of times if we get off on the wrong road, it will, like he always says too, there are many roads to the same destination. There's more than one way to reach a goal. And with Uranus and Saturn doing this, and Uranus with the North Node and Mars and Taurus, it's going to be something that is a change that's significant. So there may be a lot of hiccups, when you look at a grand cross chart. That's a lot of things to overcome, but that's also a very powerful chart. That's why he was saying the sky is the limit. And with Taurus, it is about feeling. Taurus rules the senses. And with the moon, it's always about feeling too. So, you know, how does something make you feel? Does something bring you joy? Try to notice if you imagine yourself in a certain place or doing something, if it like strikes fear in your heart, because then there's something to go and take a look at with that. And yeah, he's saying like not allowing fear to keep us in the same old mold or pattern and daring to be unique, allowing our imagination to soar, and the part of us that wants to enjoy freedom and make the new discoveries, to be creative when it's possible, take a risk and let your intuition guide you. You know, typically, especially if we're starting out with something brand new, just that one little step that we take, the universe will meet us more than halfway. Surrendering to the process of our own transformation, and lucky coincidences, he was saying, and trusting the process. That I think it goes along with just that there may be a lot of hiccups to overcome, but that everything is going to be okay. So, sorry, this is probably a little bit longer than usual, but I had a lot to talk about. So, anyway, you guys, I hope you have a great week. Be really gentle with yourselves. This is Grand Crosses are no picnic. And the moon will move, of course, but Saturn will be there. Uranus will be there. The nodes will be there. So it's not going to be something that's just happening at the full moon. It's going to be there for a while. That's why I'm talking about it as a way of having a new beginning, because Mars is involved and he's about taking a step, moving forward, having an adventure. So, yeah, he's saying going with the flow is going within, trusting that we are supported unconditionally, that there's nothing that we can do to lose support, that the glory of God lives within you, desires a relationship with you, would like to get to know you. He's saying like any hurdles or ups and downs, to be gentle with yourself, have grace for yourself. If you're feeling discouraged, there's always a promise of a better tomorrow. When he was saying getting to know you, he meant each of us getting to know our inner you. So I want to be clear about that. Anyway, you guys, sending you all so much love. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you who will be with me live tomorrow for the Lion's Gate service ceremony that we're going to do with the goddesses. We'll speak with Epona and Diana, and most likely Isis, because she's been coming in a lot lately talking to me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, you guys. I love it when we have our live meetings. All right, everybody, take care. Bye-bye.